The dorm room smelled like cold ramen and bad decisions. Zara sat cross-legged on her unmade bed, scrolling through nothing, seeing even less. She wore an oversized vintage band tee she had thrifted 3 years ago, faded black leggings with a small hole near the left knee, and one fuzzy sock because she lost the other one and simply did not care anymore. Her natural hair was wrapped in a silk scarf, edges messy in that "I woke up like this but make it sad" kind of way. Chipped burgundy nails. Half a friendship bracelet still on her wrist from someone who was no longer her friend. Outside the window, the campus quad was soaked in a gray afternoon drizzle. Students rushed past with hoods up. Nobody looked in. Nobody knocked. Until someone did. For days since she bombed her finals presentation in front of the whole department. 3 days since her best friend Priya posted a TikTok using the exact business idea Zara had told her in confidence. 2 days since Zara reported it and nobody believed her. 0 days since she had spoken out loud to another human being. The knock came sharp. Twice. She did not move. Zara. The voice was low. Familiar in a way she could not place immediately. I know you're in there. Your light's been on for 4 days straight. She froze. She crossed to the door and looked through the peephole. Nico Vega. Her cousin Priya's older brother. The one who had transferred to this school a semester ago for his grad program. The one who wore expensive sneakers and had a portfolio that people in their 20s were not supposed to have yet. The one she had managed to avoid at every family event because being near someone that put together made her feel like a glitch in the Matrix. He stood in the hallway in a slate gray zip-up hoodie, clean white tees underneath, dark joggers that somehow looked intentional, and fresh Air Force Ones. His curly dark hair was damp from the rain. He carried a brown paper bag and looked like he had somewhere better to be but chose not to go. Zara did not open the door. I already know everything, he said quietly. Priya told the family her version. I don't think it's the real one. That got her. She cracked the door open. Just enough. What do you want, Nico? He looked at her. Not through her. Not past her. At her. Like he actually saw the mess she was trying to hide behind 3 inches of wood. You haven't eaten, he said. I can tell. You can't tell anything. You've got that hollow look. My therapist calls it running on fumes and spite. I've been there. She blinked. You have a therapist? Had. Long story. He held up the bag. Jerk chicken rice bowl from that spot on 5th you're always tagged at on Instagram. Her stomach made a sound that was genuinely embarrassing. That was not an invitation, she said. Cool. I'll just stand here then. He leaned against the doorframe, completely unbothered. I've got nowhere to be. Zara stared at him. The rain tapped against the hallway window behind him. Down the hall, someone was playing a playlist that was way too sad for 4 p.m. She stepped aside. He walked in. Set the bag down on her desk carefully, like he was trying not to disturb anything. That is when she noticed it. His jaw was tight. Not calm tight. Holding something in tight. Are you okay? She asked before her brain could stop her mouth. He was quiet for too long. Nico. He turned around and the look on his face was not what she expected from someone like him. Someone who always seemed like he had already figured out the cheat codes to life. My startup got gutted 6 weeks ago, he said. Investor pulled out. Partner bailed with our client list. I had to lay off 11 people. 11 real people with real bills. He exhaled through his nose. I've been showing up to class like I'm fine because if I stop performing fine, I'll have to sit with the fact that I have no idea what I'm doing anymore. Silence. So no, he said. I'm not okay. But I heard what happened to you and I couldn't just not show up. Zara felt something crack open behind her ribs. Not in a romantic way. In a human way. The way it cracks when someone finally tells you the truth in a world full of curated highlight reels. "Why do you actually care?" she asked. "We barely know each other." He looked at her for a long moment. "Because Priya is my sister and I love her. But what she did to you was wrong. And someone needed to say that to your face." Her phone buzzed on the bed. She did not look at it. He did not look at it. "Nico," she started. Her laptop notification chimed. She glanced over. A DM from Priya. The subject preview read, "There's something you need to know about Nico. Don't trust him." Zara looked up. Nico was watching her face. And his expression told her he already knew what it said. The DM sat open on her screen like a grenade someone forgot to throw. "There's something you need to know about Nico. Don't trust him." Zara read it twice. Then she looked up at him. Nico had his hands shoved into the front pocket of his hoodie. His jaw was still tight. He was not pretending not to know. He was waiting. What did she mean? Zara asked. What did she say exactly? That I shouldn't trust you. He nodded slowly, like that confirmed something he already suspected. Then he walked to the window and looked out at the wet campus below. Students in yellow rain jackets. A food delivery guy on a bike. Normal life, happening without them. 4 months ago, he started, voice low, Priya came to me with your idea. She said it was hers. Said she needed help building it out. I helped her structure the pitch deck. Spent 3 weekends on it. He turned around. I didn't know it was yours, Zara. I didn't know until 2 days ago when I saw your post about it. The room got very small. You built her pitch deck, Zara repeated. I didn't know. She used your work to steal my work. Yes. The silence between them was thick enough to choke on. Zara pressed her fingers to her temples. She was wearing the band tee of an artist she used to love but lately could not listen to because every song felt too big for the size her life had shrunk to. So when you say you showed up because what she did was wrong, Zara said carefully, you're also here because you feel guilty. He did not flinch. Both things are true. That's not the same as being on my side. I know. She sat down on the edge of her bed. Pulled the fuzzy sock off her foot just to have something to do with her hands. The jerk chicken smell was filling the room and it was genuinely making this conversation harder because she was hungry and sad and confused and slightly furious and the food smelled so good. Did you tell her you were coming here? Zara asked. No. Is that why she's warning me? Because she's scared you'll say something? Nico crossed back to the desk. He pulled the containers out of the bag and placed them on the desk without being asked. Like showing up meant actually showing up, not just standing there looking sorry. Priya called me this morning, he said, opening a lid. She asked me to stay out of it. Said it would ruin the family dynamic. He set a fork down beside the container and looked at her. I told her that ship had already sailed. Zara stared at the food. Why are you choosing me? She asked. She is your blood. And she is wrong. Both things exist. He sat down in her desk chair, leaning forward with his elbows on his knees. He looked exhausted in a way that designer clothes could not hide. My whole life I've covered for her. Made excuses. Let things slide because she was the younger one, the one people expected less from, the one I thought I was protecting. His voice was steady but tight. But protecting someone from consequences is not love. I know that now. Zara looked at him for a long time. He was not what she thought he was. She had written him off as the untouchable older cousin adjacent guy who existed in a different tax bracket of life. But here he was. Sitting in her sad dorm room with damp hair and a guilt he had earned and a conscience he was actually using. "Eat," he said quietly. She ate. They sat in silence for a while. Not uncomfortable silence. The kind that meant two people were both thinking about the same landmine and neither wanted to be the first to step on it. Her phone lit up again. Priya this time, calling. Zara rejected it. Nico watched her do it. "She is not going to let this go," he said. "Neither am I." Something shifted in his expression. Not quite a smile. More like relief. Like he had been hoping she was that person. "There's a student board hearing," Zara said. "For the academic integrity case. In 4 days. I know. I need someone who was in the room when that pitch deck was built." Nico was very still. "That would end my relationship with my sister," he said. "I know," she said. "So I'm not asking." He looked at her. The rain had stopped outside. The room felt quieter for it. "What if I want to?" he asked. Zara's breath caught somewhere in her chest. "Then that's your choice," she said carefully. "But don't make it for me. Make it because it's right." He leaned back. Stared at the ceiling for a moment. "I already know what I'm going to do," he said. "Then why do you still look scared?" He brought his eyes down to meet hers. And for the first time that afternoon, something between them felt like more than guilt and food and family drama. "Because doing the right thing has never actually made me feel safe," he said. "And this time, I don't think that changes." Her phone buzzed again. Not Priya this time. A notification from the school portal. The hearing had been moved up. Not 4 days from now. Tomorrow morning. The morning came in cold and white. Zara changed into something that meant business. Dark wide-leg trousers, a fitted cream turtleneck, and clean white sneakers. Her hair was out now, a full natural crown she usually kept wrapped and protected. Earrings in. Lip gloss on. She looked like someone who had their life together. She did not, but she was learning that sometimes you had to dress for who you were becoming, not who you felt like that morning. Nico met her outside the administration building at 8:47 a.m. He was wearing a fitted charcoal blazer over a plain black tee, dark slim trousers, and brown leather sneakers that looked like they had actually been worn before, not just flexed. He looked put together but not untouchable. More real than she had ever seen him at any family barbecue or holiday dinner. He handed her a coffee without saying anything. She took it. They walked in together. The hearing room was small. Fluorescent lights. A panel of 3 faculty members sitting at a long table. Across from them, Priya sat with an advisor. She wore a lavender blazer and had her hair pressed straight. She looked polished. She looked exactly like someone who had rehearsed being innocent. She looked at Nico when he walked in. Her face went completely still. "You actually came," she said, and it was not a question. "Yeah," Nico said simply. He sat down next to Zara without looking at his sister again. The lead faculty member, a woman with reading glasses pushed up on her head, shuffled papers. "This hearing concerns allegations of academic concept theft and misrepresentation. Both parties have the floor to present supporting evidence." Priya's advisor went first. He was smooth. Organized. He presented a timeline that made it look like Priya had been developing the concept for months. Screenshots. A mood board. A dated folder on her laptop. It was almost convincing. Almost. Then Zara spoke. She kept her voice level. She laid out her receipts, voice memos with timestamps, a conversation thread, a prototype sketch photographed and emailed to herself 8 months before Priya's development began. She had done her homework in the 4 days before the hearing was moved up. She had done it in one night. When she finished, the room was quiet. Then Nico asked to speak. Priya grabbed the edge of the table. He turned in his chair and looked directly at the panel. Not at his sister. Not at Zara. At the panel. I helped build the pitch deck that Priya submitted, he said clearly. I spent 3 weekends on it. She told me it was her concept. I believed her. I am telling you now that I was misled, and that the concept Priya presented to me in detail was identical to what Zara just described. I have the version history on the shared doc. I have our texts. I will submit all of it. Silence. Priya's voice came out in a whisper. Nico. He finally looked at her. His expression was not cold. It was something worse. It was heartbroken and decided at the same time. I love you, he said quietly, but I can't watch you build something on a lie. Priya stood up. You don't understand what it's like, she said, and her voice broke at the edges. You have always been the one people believed. The one they invested in. I had to prove myself in a room that already loved you. I had an idea that was not good enough on its own, so I borrowed one that was. I just wanted one win, Nico. The room got heavy. Zara felt the words land in her chest. She had not expected to feel sympathy. She had not expected Priya to be something more complicated than a villain. But she did. And it made everything harder. The panel asked for a recess. In the hallway, Zara stood by the window. Nico came and stood beside her, not close enough to touch but close enough that she could feel the tension radiating off him. You okay? She asked. No, he said. But it was still right. Yeah. They stood there in the gray morning light. Neither of them said what they were both thinking. That this had changed something. That whatever was building between them in that sad dorm room the night before had survived a real thing. A hard thing. That made it dangerous. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. You won the hearing but you haven't seen the full picture yet. Ask Nico who he called the night before he came to your door. She showed him the message. He read it. Looked up. Looked away. That was enough. Nico. Let me explain. That's not a denial. He leaned against the hallway wall, hands in his jacket pockets. The fluorescent light above them buzzed faintly. Down the hall, a janitor wheeled a cart past without looking at either of them. The night before I came to your room, he said slowly, I called the department chair. Dr. Okafor. Zara went cold. Why? Because I had already seen your post. I already knew what Priya had done. And I wanted to know how serious the board was going to take it. Whether they would actually investigate or just sweep it. And what did Dr. Okafor tell you? She said without a corroborating witness, your case was weak. That Priya's paperwork was too clean. He met her eyes. That's when I decided to come to you. Zara took a breath. So you came to me because a faculty member told you I was going to lose. I came to you because I knew the truth and I couldn't stay home with it. That is not the same as coming because you cared. It was both. You keep saying both like that makes it clean. His jaw tightened. I'm not trying to make it clean. I'm trying to be honest with you about every part of it. You deserve that more than a comfortable story. Zara turned and looked out the window at the quad below. Students coming out of morning classes. Normal people doing normal things. She pressed her fingertips against the cold glass. Did you tell Dr. Okafor you were going to testify? She asked. Yes. Before you told me. Yes. She closed her eyes for 2 seconds. So there was a version of last night where you came to my room, ate jerk chicken with me, heard my whole life fall apart, and then went home without testifying. And the only reason that did not happen is because a faculty member told you the board needed you. No, he said sharply. The only reason that did not happen is because I looked at you and I could not do it. I had a plan to keep distance. To file the documents privately and let the process work. But you opened that door looking like you had been alone in the dark for a week and I could not leave. His voice had dropped to something raw. Zara turned around. He was not performing. She had seen people perform emotion her whole life. Priya was an expert. This was not that. This was someone who had not planned on saying that much. You're a mess, she said softly. Deeply, he confirmed. You could have told me this last night. I know. Why didn't you? He looked at her for a long moment. Because last night, for the first time in 6 weeks, I felt like I was doing something that was just right. Simple and right. And I did not want to complicate it with my full complicated history before you could see that I meant it. Zara exhaled. She wanted to stay angry. Anger was safer. Anger did not require her to trust someone new while her trust in Priya was still bleeding out on the floor. But she was so tired of being alone in the safe places. If I let myself trust you, she said quietly, and you turn out to be another version of people who use me to feel good about themselves, I will not recover from it the same way. I know, he said. And I think that's exactly why you should be careful. She blinked. You're telling me not to trust you. I'm telling you I don't know yet if I'm someone who deserves it. I showed up last night and today. But that's 2 days. I'm asking you to keep watching and let the record speak. He held her gaze. I'm not Priya. But I'm also not who I was 6 weeks ago before everything fell apart. I'm somewhere in the middle of becoming someone, and I don't know what that person looks like yet. The honesty of it hit her like a cold wave. Her phone buzzed. A message from Dr. Okafor. The board has reached a decision. Please return to the hearing room. Zara and Nico looked at each other. Whatever they decide, he said, I need you to know I would do today again. Even the parts that hurt? He nodded. They walked back in together. The lead faculty member set her glasses on the table and looked at both of them. We have reviewed all submitted evidence. Our finding is that the original concept belongs to Zara Mensah. The submission by Priya Vega is officially flagged for academic misconduct. Priya will face a formal review process. Zara felt it land. Not triumphant. Something quieter. Something that felt less like winning and more like exhaling after holding her breath for so long she forgot air was supposed to feel like something. She glanced at Priya across the room. Priya was staring at her brother. And on her face was an expression Zara had never seen on her before. Not anger. Not defeat. Something that looked, terrifyingly, like relief. Zara walked out of the building into the afternoon light. Nico fell into step beside her. She looked relieved, Zara said. Yeah, he said. She's been carrying it. Lying takes everything out of you eventually. They walked in silence across the wet quad. What happens now? She asked. For you and her? She's still my sister, he said. But it's going to take time. And it's going to be real this time, not just comfortable. Zara nodded. Then she stopped walking. He stopped too. Thank you, she said. For showing up. Even the complicated version of it. He looked at her in the afternoon light, gray blazer and honest eyes and the look of someone who had lost a lot and chosen to keep going anyway. Thank you for not closing the door, he said. Her phone buzzed one last time. A call from a number she did not recognize. She answered. The voice on the other end was sharp and professional. Is this Zara Mensah? The student who developed the sustainable urban tech model? Yes. My name is Selin Park. I'm a program director at Elevate Labs. We heard about your concept through a source we can't disclose. We'd like to schedule a meeting. Zara's hand tightened on the phone. She looked at Nico. He was watching her face shift and he did not know what was happening, but he could tell it was something. She hung up slowly. That was an accelerator, she said. They want to meet about my concept. He stared at her. How do they even know about it? They said a source they can't disclose. Silence. They looked at each other. And the same impossible thought moved across both of their faces at the same time. It was Priya. They found out 3 hours later when Priya texted Nico a single voice note. He played it on speaker sitting on a campus bench. The sky had cleared to that specific shade of late afternoon blue that makes everything look more cinematic than it actually is. Priya's voice was calm. Tired in the way of someone who had finally set something heavy down. I sent Elevate Labs the original concept file. Zara's version. The real one. I kept a copy because I always knew somewhere that what I did was wrong and I wanted proof of what the idea actually was. A pause. I know this doesn't fix anything. I know you probably hate me right now. But I couldn't let her work disappear just because I was scared and stupid. Tell her I'm sorry. Actually, don't. I'll tell her myself when she's ready. The voice note ended. Zara sat very still. A pigeon landed near their feet and then immediately left, as if it sensed the emotional weight and chose not to deal with it. She self-reported to the board this morning too, Nico said quietly. Before the hearing even started. I just saw the email. He held his phone out to show her. She filed a full correction herself. The board didn't find her out. She turned herself in. Zara stared at the email. She was going to lose either way, Zara said slowly. She knew that the moment you walked into that hearing room. Yeah. But she still did it. Yeah. Zara looked out at the quad. A group of students was setting up a pop-up event nearby, stringing lights between 2 trees even though it was not yet dark. One of them dropped a spool of lights and chased it across the grass, laughing. I don't know how to feel about her, Zara said. You don't have to know yet, Nico said. Feeling complicated things slowly is still feeling them. She turned to look at him. He had his blazer draped over one knee now, just the black tee in the cooling air, like he was finally letting himself be a little undone. His curly hair had dried and gone slightly wild. He looked less like the put-together person she had always categorized him as. He looked more like someone real. What do you want? She asked. He looked up. What? Out of this. Out of whatever this is. What do you actually want? He was quiet for a moment. The string lights flickered on nearby, even though the sun had not finished setting yet. I want to rebuild something, he said. My company. My relationship with my sister, slowly. Myself, mostly. He paused. And I want to see what you build. With the real version of your idea and a real shot at it. He met her eyes. I want to be around for that if you'll let me. That's not a small ask, she said. I know. You don't have to answer now. I know I don't. She looked down at her hands. The chipped burgundy nail polish she had not fixed in a week. The half-friendship bracelet still on her wrist. She reached up and unclipped it quietly. Held it for a second. Then let it drop into her jacket pocket. Not thrown away. Just put somewhere else. I'm going to take the meeting with Elevate Labs, she said. You should. And I'm going to be terrible at trusting people for a while. That's fair. And I'm not going to pretend I know what this is between us. Also fair. But I'm not going to close the door either. He looked at her for a long moment. The light strung between the trees buzzed softly. Somewhere across the quad, someone started playing music from a small speaker. Something slow. Something that had no business being that emotionally appropriate. Okay, he said simply. Okay, she said. They sat there as the sky went from blue to amber to the particular purple that only exists between day and night. Two people who had both lost things and were still figuring out what was worth building next. Not fixed. Not together, exactly. But no longer alone in the dark. And for tonight, that was the most honest kind of enough. The end.